The question I have for all of you is, are you happy or are you sad to hear this news? San Francisco's dying downtown is dealt another blow as Westfield stops making mortgage payments on $550 million loan for massive mall, blaming crime for falling sales and Nordstrom closure. It's amazing. And this is the death of San Francisco. We learned recently that I believe it was the Hilton and Park 55 that the companies were surrendering the property to their lenders. And that is what we are seeing now on the massive Westfield Mall in San Francisco. Crime, low foot traffic, low sales, human waste on the streets. Nobody wants to be there. This is fascinating. They say that the capacity, it'll be 55% at this mall, whereas typically you see malls at around 93%. Do you know how a mall dies? You ever hear one of these stories or you ever experience it? A mall dies when one store leaves, another store leaves, and then one by one, because the stores are leaving, more stores. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. As one store leaves, foot traffic goes down. So other stores leave, foot traffic goes down. I talked about this last week. The way malls work is fairly simple. Someone might say, I need to go to the mall to get a new phone. You go to the mall, and while you're there, what do? You browse around some other stores. You buy your new phone. You grab a bubble tea or something, and you're not just buying the phone. You're actually providing business to other locations, other businesses. But when that phone store closes because too much theft, you don't go there anymore. And that means the bubble tea, the shoes, the hat that you would have bought, the posters, whatever, you're not going to buy. This is what is happening to San Francisco as an entire city. To a certain degree, other cities as well. But what we're seeing now, I mean, imagine this, because this is what I said when it came to those hotels surrendering. Imagine you bought a house, $300,000. You took out a large loan, let's say you did 10% down, $30,000. You owe maybe like $250,000 on the loan. And then you went, nobody wants to come to this house. Nobody wants to live here. I don't want to live here. I surrender. And you just straight up give the property back to the bank. Give it. Give. No, hold on. You may be saying, well, I don't understand. Why did you sell the house? Nobody wants to buy it. That's why. Your only option is keep paying the bills on a house nobody wants to be in and you don't want to be in. You can't sell it because nobody wants to live there. So you say, you know what? I've lost the money. There's no point in spending anymore. We're out. So the question, as I asked a moment ago, are you happy or are you sad about this? Because this is one of our great American cities, San Francisco, now being gutted and destroyed. I don't know if I feel good about it. I mean, part of me is laughing at the failed Democrat policies. They keep voting for this stuff. And then part of me says it's too bad that we let it get this way. The Daily Mail reports San Francisco's struggling downtown has been dealt another blow as Westfield has stopped making mortgage payments on its massive mall due to crime and tanking sales. The firm has defaulted on the $558 million loan and is handing it back to the lender, which will appoint a receiver. The mall will remain open for now. The decision was sparked by the decision from Nordstrom, the mall's anchor tenant, to close in August. Last month, Westfield blamed unsafe conditions and a lack of enforcement against rampant criminal activity, in large part for Nordstrom's departure. That's right. It is overtly Democrat policies. Soros-funded DAs destroying these cities. It's amazing, man. Oh, geez, I can't even look at some of these images. Westfield said the unprecedented poor performance in San Francisco was a sharp contrast to the rest of its properties. San Francisco Center generated $455 million in sales in 2019 before the pandemic. Last year, sales were down about a third to $298 million. Nordstrom occupied 312,000 square feet of the mall. When it closes, Westfield San Francisco will only be 55% leased. Other Westfields on average, 93%. The mall is a smart and upmarket building whose other retailers, a smart building? What? Whose other retailers include Bloomingdale's, Aesop, Rolex, and Sephora. You know what happens next? Bloomingdale's. How many people were shopping at Nordstrom? And they'd say, let's go to Nordstrom. And then they'd say, well, let's take a look at some of the other stores. Now that Nordstrom's not there, how many people also won't show up? This is a cascade effect that will only get worse. Westfield's struggles will pile fresh pressure on city leaders after multiple retailers and hotels shuttered in downtown San Francisco, as it continues to battle soaring crime, open drug use, and homelessness. San Francisco is becoming a crack town. It is becoming a ghost town. Crazy. These buildings, look, we're on track for these buildings to become abandoned. And if there's no businesses paying taxes, who's paying the police? So then what happens? You're going to have drug users, homeless people taking over the mall, taking over these buildings. They will start to crumble and fall into disrepair, and San Francisco will become a crack town. I don't see anything changing this. Maybe one thing. A long shot. Donald Trump becomes president and sends the feds in to clean this place up and to start enforcing the law at the federal level. And that is a bit nightmarish if you realize it's the federalization of this country. If the only solution is the federal government stepping in under Donald Trump, then we just end up becoming a solid single nation where states don't matter. A single governing authority over all jurisdictions. That's not a good outcome, but that's where we're heading. They say, for more than 20 years, Westfield has proudly and successfully operated San Francisco Center, investing significantly over that time in the vitality of the property, the company said. Given the challenging operating conditions in downtown San Francisco, which have led to declines in sales, occupancy, and foot traffic, we have made the difficult decision to begin the process to transfer management of the shopping center to our lender to allow them to appoint a receiver to operate the property going forward. Who's going to take it on? You think the lender wants to deal with it? You buy a house, as I mentioned in the analogy. Imagine you're the bank and they're like, you know what? I surrender. The house is yours. And they're going, ugh, we're not going to be able to sell it. Now we're left holding an empty bag. Granted, they keep the equity in the house, but there's none left. Nobody will buy it. So who's going to receive this? The lender is going to have it and be like, what are we supposed to do with it? Westfield San Francisco Mall includes 1.2 million square feet of retail space and 300,000 square feet of offices. It is in the troubled Union Square area and center of downtown where homelessness and crime are rife. This is crazy. Look at this. Nordstrom recently shuttered a store in San Francisco, citing changing dynamics. Look at this empty image. Nothing there. Nothing. Employees at a Target store in San Francisco recently said it was being robbed as frequently as every 10 minutes. They put every product behind locked cabinets. What's the point, man? You can't salvage this stuff. Oh, you can still buy a suntan lotion, though. Man. Whole Foods, Old Navy, Gap, and Office Depot are just some of the stores in the district to announce that they are closing. Out of the 203 retailers open in 2019 in the Union Square area, just 107 are still operating, a drop of 47% in just a few pandemic-ravaged years. The city is in something of a vicious cycle. Office workers are now working from home, leaving the downtown area significantly quieter and making the empty streets more dangerous. The rise in crime then deters people from entering downtown. And as the downtown empties, the city loses essential tax revenues, and the area becomes less appealing. The revenue loss to the city caused by decreased property taxes could reach $196 million per year. And then who pays the fire department? Who pays for the water? Who pays for the roads? Who pays for the police? It is a cycle, and things will only get worse from here. The building, which houses the San Francisco Chronicle, a block from the Westfield Mall, faces a 60% vacancy rate by the fall as tenants Yahoo and Autodesk's leases expire. The best case scenario from the modeling expects the cost will be nearer to $100 million in tax losses per year. Wow, man. Look at this one from the Wall Street Journal. Hotel owners start to write off San Francisco as business nosedives. This is the end of a once great American city, a tech hub. You know, it's funny, if you're a fan of Star Trek, you know that San Francisco is like Starfleet headquarters. Isn't it really funny? San Francisco. And in the future, it's all beautiful. But maybe we are on track to follow that storyline. The storyline in Star Trek was there was a civil war, and then there were authoritarian police brought in that were heavily drugged to get them, to keep doing their jobs. And then only later did we improve things. Maybe. I don't see this as the end completely of San Francisco. Because you can't just get rid of these buildings. You can't just get rid of the infrastructure. So long as it exists, there'll be people who want to use it. Why not? But what I see, at some point, no one's going to want to run the Hilton building. Why would they? There's no money to be made. The cost of maintaining this is apocalyptic level stuff. Let's break this down. How much does the lender behind the Hilton have to spend every month to maintain the building? It is a lot. So we saw a $1.25 million building in Charleston, West Virginia, 8-story building downtown. And I'm like, it'd be so cool to have something like that to create an office, be like Timcast Media, Charleston, West Virginia. And I said, I can't afford to maintain a building like that. 1.2 million is cheap for an 8-story building. But what do you do? Who's in it? And how do you pay for the maintenance on a building like that? Before we bought our current headquarters, there was an 80,000 square foot building. Actually, it might be more than that. I think it was 80,000 square foot factory building on sale for like $700K. And I was like, I would love to buy that. But how do you pay the maintenance costs? You're going to have to fix it up. You're going to have to pay for climate control. You're going to have to pay for cleanings and plumbing, and a building like that. It's insane trying to manage. You need some serious revenue. So we can't do that. The lender behind Hilton, what do you think they're going to say? They're going to be saying, how many staff members are we paying to maintain a building that no one comes to? Fire them. Let them go. We can't afford it. There's no money. Eventually, it comes down to a single man with a key, the key to the front door. And he says, look, I am not going to be the only person solely responsible for this building. Screw that. And one day they're not going to show up. Then some homeless people start to notice. Places shut down. No one cares anymore. Break a window, walk in, take over the building. Watch it fall apart. A large building like this, it seems unprecedented, and maybe it will be. Maybe things will turn around in some way before that happens. But right now, it just feels like with the closing of the mall and these stores, who is going to be there? Who is going to travel there? Nobody. So what happens to the building? If there's no customers, who pays? And if no one pays, how do they pay the staff to maintain the building? Eventually, they'll just have to say, we're out. It'll be really crazy. Urban explorers will go in and they'll go up to like a random room and open the door, and it'll be covered in dust and kind of just frozen in time from this year. And they'll be like, wow, look at this. The bed's still made. Although I have to imagine by that point, if it does get that bad, there'll be so many homeless people living in that building. They're not homeless anymore. But there will be human waste. The plumbing won't work. I've seen stuff like that in foreign countries. In a building this big, though, man. And think about what that means for the mall. I've seen abandoned malls. It's kind of crazy. We're watching it more and more and more. And you can thank the Democrats for it. I don't understand how you can watch this happen in the news. You can watch what happens in the streets. You can see the violence, the crime, the human waste, the robberies, and people still keep voting Democrat. We're in trouble if that's the case. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all then.